Hello, okay, I think I finally got everything going, got it all working. We're going to be working on a little documentary today. If you are here, say hello, jump in the chat, give me some love. Need love, desperate for love, as you'll see. Right, so I need this. I think we're good. I think we have everything we need. We'll find out. Find out all together. So if you can hear things, actually I'm going to double check that everything's working before I get too excited. Nothing worse than thinking it's all working when it's not. If it is all right. So today we're going to be working on a documentary. Go. Oh, I'm going to assume it's working. I think it's working. You can hear me. Good enough. If I hit play.
Then I was on a business trip to India.
See, here we go. Quite loud. I don't know what the deal is there. Why it's so loud, but you know, not too loud for me, so hopefully it's not too bad.
Then I was on a business trip to India, and I watched as a milkman dragged his injured cow to the gates of a slaughterhouse.
That should help.
The cow had been hit by a...
So it's an animal rights documentary, so it can get a bit graphic, but you know, that is part of the whole thing, really. So I'm gonna just do some denoising first. I've got this little denoising chain I really like to use. Some de-reverb, some denoise, spectral denoise, and then dialogue isolate. From there, I just go in and learn each of the elements, and then we're gonna render that. It does take a little bit of time. It's a pretty intensive process, but essentially my thought behind this is that we have the de-reverb, which just takes some of the vocal parts out of the background noise and just sort of centers and focuses the dialogue a bit more. This is actually a pickup part, so I'm hoping that it's not going to have too much influence on what I'm doing in the rest of the processing, which I've already sort of done a pass of. Then we have a denoiser that's just going to take out some of that vocal stuff, and then a spectral denoiser just to sort of give that a bit of a chop out and do the 1-2, and you can see they're stripping out quite a bit of noise. I think I probably over processed that. We have to also go in and throw some room tone over some of this stuff, but essentially a lot of this is supposed to be quite voiceover sort of style stuff. So
very important decision. Then I was on a business trip to India, and I watched as a...
I think it's like it's over. It is a bit cooked, but
very important decision. Then I was on a business trip to India, and I watched as a milkman dragged his injured cow to the gates of a slaughterhouse.
He has such a beautiful voice.
The cow had been hit by a lorry and had broken her spine. She was in agony.
So next thing, I also want to just go through and level a lot of this stuff, just to sort of balance out the delivery, because you can hear people kind of get a little bit quieter over time.
A lorry and had broken her spine. She was in agony. And he dragged her to the slaughterhouse gates, and alongside her walked her starving, bedraggled little calf. And to get this animal to move, he was throwing chili powder into her eyes and shoving sharp objects up her anus.
Jesus.
And when he got to the slaughterhouse gates, before he handed her...
There's a little clip there. So we're going to make sure we get rid of that. Just a bit of de-clip. Right. No, who would use low quality de-clip? Anyone wants to tell me why you would use low quality de-clip? That'd bombard you with.
And when he got to the slaughterhouse gates,
a bit loud too. I've just been doing heaps of really delicate dialogue. Sorry, not dialogue. Delicate other editing. But in case you haven't seen this before, g'day, hey Androsimos, what's going on? I thought someone would jump in, and I knew it would be partner in crime. What are you doing on this Saturday? We're almost close to hanging out. They're lowering all the restrictions for stuff. We're almost there. Thanks for dropping in. Hopefully you're staying busy, getting your assignments and whatever done. I've got to go through this documentary and just give it a.
He got to the slaughterhouse gates.
Give it a real red hot
before
crack.
He handed her over to the butcher.
Guy has a really lovely voice. Downside is he tends to trail off a bit, which is pretty normal, I guess. There we go.
Or he handed her over to the butcher.
Also a little bit muffled when I.
Before he handed her over to the butcher.
So I think we're going to have to do a fair bit of processing. All my plugins jump on the bottom screen. Essentially, it is really bassy, but I find that presence.
Before he handed her over to the butcher. The bastard milked her.
Plenty of work this morning. What are you working on at the moment, Androsimos? Thanks for dropping in. I don't know. I haven't been streaming at all because I just got this webcam and got an interface sorted out and got all the bits and bobs to actually get started again. So I've just gone through a process of leaving a job where I had lots and lots of space and mics and things to use, and now I've got to build it all back up again. Hey, thanks for the follow. I forgot I had that horrific screaming deer, but I kind of get a kick out of that horrific screaming deer. It's a way to announce that being followed.
The bastard milked her. The bastard milked her. Now, if that doesn't change the heart of a man, nothing will.
It's a pretty harrowing story. The whole documentary is sort of about the movement rather than trying to, convert you or anything like that. It's really about activism just in general and being able to also how different people are being activists. Pretty cool. We got some music we got to pop in later.
My name is Matt Stellino, and I'm an activist here in Sydney. So I'm born and raised in Sydney, southwest in Campbelltown. Spent the majority of my life between Campbelltown and Liverpool, and moved back to Campbelltown after I got out of the army. I guess being your typical 19-year-old guy, obsessed with, guns and explosives and figuring, might as well get paid to...
So I have already done a pretty big dialogue pass on this. I'll show you what it sounded like before.
My name is Matt Stellino, and I'm an activist here in Sydney. So I'm born and raised in Sydney, southwest in Campbelltown. Spent the majority of my life between Campbelltown and Liverpool.
You can see we've been able to pull that volume up quite a bit.
My name is Matt Stellino, and I'm an activist here in Sydney.
And that's really does come back down to this processing chain that I have here. So dialogue D reverb, in case anyone wants to steal some of these settings. Dialogue D reverb, denoise, voice denoise, and each of the denoises are doing a little bit of work. So voice denoise and then spectral denoise. Yeah, getting ready for school to open back up again. That's going to be weird. That's going to be weird for everyone to jump in. Do we know that's like 25th, end of the month or something? Is it? 9 more days. You're so close, mate. You're gonna have to get back to the real world. What year are you in? You're in like year 10, 11, something like that. Finally able to work in the studio again. And I can't remember, you've got a pretty good studio. I used to do a lot of work in high schools setting up music departments with a lot of gear. So chances are, if you've got a good studio, it's because of me. No, I'm just kidding. Probably partly, but also not really. Year 11. That's awesome. Good time to get that you're into all this stuff. And you're into post in general or music or a bit of everything, I think, probably at this stage.
Why it fits for them. But at the end of the day, I think the difference between a caged egg and a free-range egg versus not buying eggs, you know what I mean? Here's a little bit of difference. Not buying eggs is all the way over here. Right, do you ever want to be the reason why an animal is made to feel pain? They reckon casein...
Okay, so seems like there's a little bit of a...
Here, right, do you ever want to be the reason why an animal is made to feel pain? They reckon casein is actually the main, I guess, factor in turning, or the key in turning pre-cancer growth on and off in humans. Better water use, better land use, better protein per acre, better calories.
This guy's pretty awesome that he can get out there and do live audio, lighting, and filming too. That's a great idea, Androsimos. The doing live audio is a super, super, super helpful skill to have. Just being and lighting and stuff. I've done a lot of like lighting and projection work and stuff for some bands and artists around Melbourne, and it's really cool. It's a good way to pick. I mean, not at the moment. It's obviously nothing going on with live audio at the moment, but just being able to understand your signal flow and really getting your head around where does it come from? Where does the signal go to? I can't lean all the way back there. It's not going to work. Yeah, where does the signal come from? Where does it go to? People will talk about signal flow a lot later on, but you don't really realize how important it is until you can't quite work out where the sound is. Even this morning, I mean, geez, I've had like 4 goes at setting up OBS and trying to get, Pro Tools search, and what have I got? I got this, that, all of that's got to pass through into the stream, and geez, it definitely takes some thinking.
I do predominantly outreach activism if I can. Definitely support all forms of activism. I think we need absolutely every approach at all times. But I find my strongest suite is definitely outreach activism. I love engaging conversations with people, understanding somebody's psychology as to what drives them, what leads them to make the decisions that they make,
videos jumping for
not only understanding for myself, helping them understand it, and then seeing if if it lines up with who they are as people, if it lines up with the ethics that they hold, and then how to transition them over to being vegan.
So he does have a tiny bit of what sort of sibilant dialogue. I don't know. Doco like this, it's going to get a couple of passes. It doesn't really require much sound design stuff. Like I can put trams and stuff in the back here, but it's really important.
On and off in humans. Better water use, better land use, better protein per acre, better calories per acre.
It's really important.
Plants win out, man, every time. It's logic, man.
Not knowledgeable enough to argue.
Yeah, not easy to get. Yeah, easy to get the hang of after a while. Once you know how a desk works in terms of like an analog console, you pretty much you can put them on anything until you get to networking, and then the whole thing gets thrown out the window again. Something that happens a lot now is networking stuff, but yeah, look, once you get it, people sit behind giant consoles and patch bays and get scared, and it's not that bad. I didn't know what I was doing when it came to that stuff until I just had a bit of practice, and then you do it 3 or 4 times, and you just kind of keep redoing it and redoing it and redoing it, and it gets there.
And then how to transition them over to being vegan. Outreach number 0. Outreach number. Outreach number. Could I get your number, Cheesy? Could I get your number?
Can I have it? Can I have it? 9.
Could I get your outreach number, Michael? 6. 6? Excellent, thank you.
I really like how he's taken this. I mean, he's from the military. I'm going to assume it's a very militaristic approach.
Vegan.
Tricky one.
Outreach number
0.
Outreach number.
Just like the aim is to talk to a lot of people. It's cool.
Yeah. For me, that's the form of activism that brings me the most peace. Like it's fulfilling.
I probably also need to have. I'm going to just pop this up somewhere. We're going to get Izotope inside up. I'm just going to put that on the bottom. Just because knowing that I'm sort of roughly hitting targets is what I'm really looking for. I don't really need that all the time. Where is it? Sound field, insight. Now, if you click this little red dot, it won't close if you open up another plugin. You can see that these ones will swap. Anything with a red dot will swap, but if you don't have the red dot, it won't swap, which is a cool way to do this. I'm just gonna, it's gonna hurt for a second. There we go. Gotta remember to look up. I used to have the webcam down here and now I don't. So it's sort of weird for me to jump around. But anyway, I'm gonna grab this Izotope window. I just gotta make a really quick thing in OBS for a window capture for Izotope. And insight, where is it? It's gonna be somewhere. Avid link, item 0, maybe? Nope. The amount of stuff that Avid will throw on your audio suite? No. I really thought this was going to take about 2 seconds, and it's going to take ages. I would have thought it would be under Avid, but it's not. Well, I might scrap that idea. It's okay. I can just put it... let's just get rid of that little window. Little. I say it's little. It's absolutely gigantic, isn't it? There we go. I'm just going to put this on the screen. We don't need levels. Resize that. I just want to know the luff measurement as we sort of go along. It's about to block you off completely. There we go.
Yeah. For me, that's the form of activism that brings me the most peace. You know, like it's fulfilling in the sense that I guess it chips away at the industry. I guess, and it chips away at the overwhelming feeling that the industry is.
I've just done. I know that I've just done that, but I generally need. I need to be able to see the measurements on a much smaller scale. So what I'm actually going to do, although you can't resize this window, which is really, really dumb. What I need is I just need that analyze button to be somewhere. It's stupid that you can't resize this though, because I've got a little hotkey that actually clicks on analyze for me and then will give me the measurement. I don't know if I have it on this other screen. Yeah, if I have it on the other screen, it still helps, but downside is you can't see it. So I'm gonna try this window capture thing one more time, and that way you'll be able to see what I've got. So audio suite. Yeah, so this one, it works, but if it's in a regular plugin, you can't capture it, which is pretty bizarre. Alrighty. There we go. So now we can see this. Might just, what do you think? We'll just chop that up. We don't really need to see, we don't need to see all of it, do we? We just need to see that number. Sounds silly, but it's actually super handy to just have just that number. 600, 700, there we go. And 600, maybe 700. And we're going to go 500. Actually, I really just need that number. There we go. It'll be pretty funny, but there we go. There's our beautiful little luff measurement in a tiny, tiny little box. Good. Good boy, luff measurement. You sit there. You sit there, you wait for me. Alrighty.
Yeah. For me, that's the form of activism that brings me the most peace. You know, like it's fulfilling in the sense that I guess it chips away at the industry. I guess, and it chips away at the overwhelming feeling that the industry is going to go on forever.
Now, I have another part here where we're just talking about just people talking. There's like an annoying bicycle thing happening there. I don't know what the deal with that is. Hoping that's not really
overwhelming feeling.
Probably doesn't need to
the
stay,
industry
realistically.
is going to go on forever.
Oh, it's the umbrella.
overwhelming feeling that the industry
Weird.
is going to go on forever.
That probably doesn't need to be there at all, to be honest. Oh wow, I think it's really upset about that window capture. It seemed to be slowing down my computer quite a bit. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, so more outside ambience stuff. There's a scene where they're talking about being in a like a convention center.
All right, guys, we're going to get started. Thank you. So before we begin proceedings today, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today, the Gadigal people of the Eora.
So this is another one of those scenes where if you actually listen to the old version, this is the old version. I'll just probably need to pump it up for you, but
All right, guys, we're going to get started.
you can hear a lot of reverb in the old version,
Thank you. So before we begin proceedings today, I would like to acknowledge
which makes sense. Like she's at a
the land on which we meet today, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation.
what am I trying to say? She's
my
at
respects
a convention, so she is talking in front of a lot of people. We do need to verb this, so I'm just gonna mark it for myself. Later on, we'll just slap a bit of reverb
All right,
on
guys,
that.
we're going to get started.
It doesn't need heaps, but it just needs to sit back in the space.
Thank you. So before we begin proceedings today, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and pay my respects to the elders past and present. I would also like to extend my respect to the Aboriginal and Torres
Also,
Strait
this,
Islander people who are present
this is
today.
a hotkey
Thank you all for your patience.
pretty
I
useful,
apologise
that
that
I've
we're
made.
starting a little.
that is, if I look at Keyboard Maestro, we'll see if we can find it. So this is Keyboard Maestro, and essentially making new hotkeys is really, really quick. So I have these clip gain up and down, and what they do is if I go Control Shift up, it'll repeat it 3 times, which ends up actually saving quite a bit of time. Well, maybe not time, but it's just keystrokes. You can see one tap will extend it a number of times, and just sort of helps you out.
All right, guys, we're going to get started.
What I can do there is I actually set the 2 values at a slightly different level. So if you look at it's gone again. But if you look at up is like up happens 3 times, down happens 4 times, or something like that. That way, when you set your clip gain, if you set your clip gain at point 3, 0.2, 0.3, something like that, what happens is you get to go up and down and actually change it, so you can get it just right. You can get it on 0.1, which is really, really handy, especially if you're trying to hit a spec right on the nose, which does happen pretty often when you think about it. So for now, if I check that spec, what are we sitting at? Sitting at 9.5, so it's super loud. That's okay. Right, so if we check that spec again, didn't really feel that loud. Oh, sorry, now it's 19. Maybe I was reading it wrong. Might have been 19.5, which is fine.
All right, guys, we're going to get started.
I think the thing that drives me on a daily basis is knowing that anywhere around the world right now.
Okay, so there's a slight drift here. This is going to happen a couple of times. I was made aware of this. It was going to happen, so we're going to have to sort of lock in a couple of these points. I'm not sure where that would be, honest. That's that.
I think the thing that drives me on a daily basis
There
is
we go.
knowing that anywhere around the world right now.
So we can check the sync a bit more tightly, but because we're set on 4, so there we go. So we were off. This is assuming that the old version is in sync, which is probably not an assumption you should always make, because it is wrong awful lot of the time.
I think the thing that drives me on a daily basis is knowing that anywhere around the world right now, there is suffering.
So we're
I
way
think-
out again there.
I think the thing that drives me on a daily basis is knowing that anywhere.
I don't know if we're actually out. I think the video is just lagging a bit. It may need, we may need to pop it back out and convert it. I only actually got the video this morning, so just been going through and removing stuff. We got some music to put in later. That's fine.
I live in Northern Beaches, Sydney, New South Wales. It's a beautiful area. I really love being near the water. There's lots of bush around, nature parks around, even though it's a bit expensive. I grew up in a single parent family. There were lots of single parent families where I grew up as well.
Yeah, so don't stress too much about
Lots
the
of
sync,
people
'cause I think
struggling
that's
to
probably
make
quite
ends
off.
meet. We lived in community housing. There was homelessness, drug and alcohol issues in the local area that I
That
grew
might
up
be
in.
the luff measurement. Maybe I just don't show you the. I mean, it shouldn't matter this much, right? But if I don't show you the luff measurement, then at least we'll be able to use that a bit cleaner. Even the video. I'm not actually looking at the video at the moment. We could just put the video, not an additional capture. I haven't actually got the big computer set up or anything, so we could just maybe move the video so that it's actually on the screen. And then we'll get rid of this video from PTE source. Go. Maybe help us out a
There
bit
were
as
lots
well.
of single parent families where I grew up as well. Lots of people struggling to make ends meet. We lived in community housing. There was homelessness, drug and alcohol issues in the local area that I grew up in. I left home at a very young age. I ran away from home when I was 15 years old.
Some of this is going to be pretty awesome when we do get the music in there. It's gonna be really cool because it sounds pretty cool if you listen
There
to
were lots of single parent families where I grew up as well. Lots of people struggling to make ends meet. We lived in community housing. There was homelessness, drug and alcohol
But
issues
as
in
I've
the local
sort of
area
said
that I grew
a
up
couple
in.
of times, I think that it should
I
always
left
sound
home at a very
great
young age. I ran
before
away from
you
home when I
approach,
was 15 years old.
yeah, before you say,
Did
oh, that's
manage
it,
to get
it's
myself
gonna
a
be
job.
perfect. I've got to put it in with the music and rah rah rah. Because I find that there is an issue with if you make it great without music, it'll be perfect. If you make it great with music, and then the music gets dropped or something like that, it can really kick you when you're down later on. Gonna just posting about streaming. Sorry, I've done this. Maybe stream audio. There we go. Cool. Oh, I've got some message in my inbox. I should probably check that. Always check your inbox. Oh, it's okay. Never mind. Nothing too important. Cool. So we've done this part. Let's move on.
Motivated to be independent, but it was quite a rough time, quite a tough time for me then. I was away from family for a while. Had to learn very quickly how to look after myself and hold down a job, and left school early and all that kind of thing. So I think
She has like some jingly bangles or something that are probably worth getting rid of. So, and this weird tone. Something you notice all the time, I believe it's a Zoom recorder thing. It does this, and I don't know why it does that, but it does this. And you got to pretty much go in. It probably doesn't matter overly too much if you don't get this, depending on how bad it is. But if you're not careful, this can sneak its way in, and it can be pretty brutal. I've heard these high tones. It was actually, I was watching a Red Bull thing last night, and it had, okay, we're being too pretty with it. Let's just get rid of it. I was watching a Red Bull thing last night, and it was actually, there's this super high frequency pitchy thing.
Family for a while.
And she has these bangles as well. I'd say is probably that. Yeah. Cool thing to do here, because I'd say that she's probably banging the bangles like on the table or something like that. Cool thing to do here is just to find similar. And if you take this little similarity slider, you can fiddle with it a bit, and it'll pull up sort of some stuff that's similar. Don't know if it's really working. There we go. So you don't want to yeah, so it's not really going to find too much. I guess because they're all different strokes, we're probably going to have to go in and get it ourselves. So find something that didn't work this time. I think Benny had a really good thing for, like, was it yeah, instant process. Just ticks that little box there. I'm not sure when I zoom in if, yeah, so I think everything sort of, you can see stuff. Let me know if that zooming in doesn't really work for you. We're going to go in, we're just going to paint out each of those spots.
But it was.
You just see stuff that's really different.
Quite a rough time, quite a tough time for.
Even this, like, look at this thing now. You can see these little dots.
But it was quite a rough time.
And there's some clipping on that.
Quite.
Not saying quite, saying quite. And that's one of those things that we could, let's try and learn the key command for that, declip. Oh, that didn't work. Oh, it did. Never mind. I mean, there's no real, I don't know what we can really do here.
Quite.
Kind of works. Probably decrackled that a tiny bit as well.
Quite.
Great way to get some creepy sounding alien stuff, or eating some toast. That sounds like. Oh no, don't do that. Don't output crackle only though. That'll really stuff you up. And I just did it again.
Quite.
But that seems to get a fair bit of distortion away than just using, well, sort of that in tandem with declip will get a fair bit away, which is cool.
Quite a rough time, quite a tough time for me then. I was away from family for a while.
Oh, there's those bangles. I gotta learn how to actually scroll around Izotope. One of those things that I haven't actually ever bothered to learn. Worth trying some of those different ones, but I think also probably just painting out rather. Some of these regions will just really clean that up.
Family for a while. Had to learn very quickly how to look after myself.
Some of these are really hard because you can't see them, so you can make it brighter and darker, and that can sometimes help. Especially in this kind of situation. If there's a lot of noise, probably a even better way to do this is to make your selection nice and big, grab a bit that's not that, and just spectral copy paste. That'll actually give you a lot more of a natural denoising process over this.
Look after myself and hold down a job.
Because if I sort of just highlight that and say, well, here's some stuff that I had placed earlier.
And hold down a job. and hold down a job and left school early.
It's really, really useful because that way now you can also, I'm sort of jumping around a little bit, but with this spectral paste, it's using audio that is not processed to cover stuff that you would normally process. And one of the best ways to denoise is to process less. Every time you run things through another process, it's a chance of adding more artifacts and more problems. So what you've got to do is get it right, work out how to do that in less steps, and then do that. So even though we could highlight it and attenuate it and instant process it, an even better way to do this without any weird phase stuff or any dropouts, because at this, like at 8K or 7K, we can kind of hear this pretty well. So if someone's yelling and then there's a big dip and then the next one comes in and there isn't a dip, it can feel a bit discontinuous. So I think a better way to do this is looking at pasting over. And one of the things I've just learned is that there are actually different paste versions. So you can insert, which will paste it but move the time. You can replace it, which is what we generally do, I think, when we paste. You can mix it, which is pasting something into that and mixing it in. You can invert a mix, which is taking everything outside the selection that you have. No, that can't be right. How does invert and mix work? I don't know how that works. That one I have to work out. To selection, which is pretty cool. Clip gain only, which I guess you would use that. I don't know what replace, the difference between replace and to selection. Okay. Actually, to selection is even better, because to selection is going to take whatever, even if I've copied this much stuff, right? If I copy that much stuff and then I highlight this dot and then I paste, if I pasted like that, it would actually paste all over everything. Whereas if I paste this way, to selection or Option Shift V, so let's try that, Option Shift V. Whoa, Option Shift V. I don't know if that worked. I think I did something weird there. Let's just try the, I think I was right, Option Shift V. Anyway, to selection. That will just take that, all of that stuff that I had before and paste it there. So if you wanted to, you could find really, really clean room tone, copy the whole thing. This isn't clean room tone, but if I wanted to, I could copy the whole thing and then just paste to selection only those elements. I should really clip this bit because I just worked that out, and that's really, really useful. So I'd have to go back and write that down. I don't know how I do that. Let's write. I'll write myself a message. Remember to talk about paste modes in Izotope. I'm not sure how to actually clip my own thing. So anyway. Super duper useful for really transparently getting rid of stuff. I like it a lot more than the instant attenuation approach, just because that way you're using all natural stuff instead of not natural stuff, which I think is really useful. Kazi505, is that Tom? Probably Tom. Hopefully. Enjoy my screaming deer, regardless.
Early and all that kind of thing. So I think some of that was influenced by...
Kazi, thanks for joining us, mates. Say hello. Yes, look at that. What are you up to, Tom? You just missed a hot Izotope tip. I'm going to redo it just for you. So if you're looking at this, if you're trying to denoise a part of audio, like I'm trying to denoise this right now, which is her bangles, doing that kind of thing. If I'm trying to denoise that, a really, really cool way. Oh yeah, Tazzy, meet Androsimos. Tom's an old student of mine. Androsimos would have been a student of mine, but no, I'm kidding. Well, actually, Androsimos, you're a student of mine right now. So, another Melbourne soundy in some way, shape, or form, which is pretty exciting. Worth chatting to. So, if I'm trying to denoise something, rather than using attenuation, a really, really, really cool way to do it is to find a big plonk of room tone, copy that in, find the section you want to get rid of. And if you pasted, it would paste over the whole lot, which is not what we want, because if we paste over the whole thing, we're going to lose all the other stuff. So if you're saying something else at this time, it doesn't work that way. So you have to find only this. We're trying to paste over only those sections. So we can find the section we want and then actually paste special and go to selection. So paste special and then to selection. And if we do it that way, we're going to paste over only that bit, which is super exciting. At least I find things super exciting. But you know, it's a lot better than just pasting over the top, because you'll lose everything. And for this kind of situation where we're trying to just get, you know, just removing this stuff, you can paste special. I can't remember what this thing is. To selection, Option Shift V. I feel like I did that before and it everything up. Oh, that's why. Because I've already got keyboard shortcuts for vocal synth. So let's go in and remove keyboard shortcut for vocal synth. So Option Shift V. Anyone see Option Shift V? There it is. If we turn that off, that should now actually paste. There we go. We can paste as many times as we want. Hey, it actually works really well. Probably just pasted that a bit much. I got a little overexcited. There we go. So now you should be able to hear it without.
Was influenced by the area that I was in, the people that.
And we're going to do the same thing for all this stuff. Pretty happy with that. Yeah, my new book, writing a book, very exciting. Actually got publishing deal, so I'm not just writing another book like I keep telling Thomas I'm writing another book all the time. But I got my publishing deal, so I'm in the middle of writing a book for Routledge Publishing, all about sound design in film and television. You know, they say multimedia and linear media and stuff like that, but it's a bit lame and a bit sort of 80s to say that.
Area that I was in, the people that I was hanging.
So we don't really want to say that too often. Yeah, thanks Androsimos. Super duper excited, man. I about 40 or 30 odd thousand words in now. It's got to be done by September. Got to be done by September. We got 85,000 words to go, but you know, putting away like 10,000 words a week, so it's getting there. I'm still ahead of my schedule, but pretty excited. Realizing that pasting over this, it's probably a little friendly. If that makes sense. So maybe the really bright stuff, maybe you still do need to just instant process them. I'm feeling like it's a little too friendly. Handy, but friendly. I don't know if I always want friendly.
I was hanging out with. I was just in such a hurry to.
So many of these things, isn't there? So many of these things. Yeah, but it's cool to be writing a textbook. I sort of written a lot, obviously. Well, not obviously. I've written a bit, occasionally. If you're into audio programming, there's a 10 blog series thing that I should continue.
Such a hurry to grow up.
Me about this.
But otherwise. Gotta love this. Gotta love just doing that. I do like that paste replace. I think it's pretty sick.
Such a hurry to.
There's a thing happening. I don't like it. Oh. Paste replace. Also sure that we got some other.
Just in such a hurry.
Some other people streaming. I saw Tristan has started some streaming. Tom, are we gonna see you on the stream at some point? Assuming you should be. Be pretty excited. Waiting for the drinking game of my streaming to hit stores. Almost time for a beer, isn't it? Oh, not yet. Sort of is. You totally should. I'd be excited. I'd be excited to see you, you know, just write some music on the stream, that kind of
In
thing.
such a hurry to grow up.
Me about this yesterday.
It's, you know, it sounds really funny, but I just missed out on a job, another documentary, really cool looking documentary, super excited. And the reason I missed out on it wasn't because I wasn't a good sound designer or because my references weren't good. It was actually because the person that won it had a really great YouTube channel. So I found it really, really quite funny, but at the same time, these kind of things show that we know what we're talking about and we know what we're doing. So visibility is obviously huge, and I kind of just do this just to hang out with people and chat while I'm working on stuff. But oh no, battery's not charging. This happens a lot. Anyway, yeah, it's amazing the jobs that you can get and the stuff that happens when people see you doing stuff. Like, I still get messages all the time for contact instruments for me to build for people, and like, if anyone wants to learn contact, please learn contact, and I can give you these freaking people that want to learn things. How dare they want to build things?
At this yesterday.
But yeah, you know, visibility, and that's just visibility. That's just me doing some videos for
Bob lived in a flat.
for contact. There's a thing happening here.
Bob lived in.
Oh no. What is that? I don't know what we're gonna do here. Shoop. Let's try our. See that? That seems to be mixing it in rather than inverted mix. No. I wonder what. Yeah, I'm not really sure if that's the absolute best way to do things.
Me about.
Yeah, okay. This is one of those times where it looks like a waveform problem over a, gotta learn how to scroll sideways. Yeah, so you can see this waveform, not supposed to look like that. So the tool for that, more than 10, it seems to be charging enough, is interpolate. Interpolate will just kind of guess, guess what the waveform should look like. Whoop, just like that. That's what it's supposed to look like. Looks like we've got some other problems as well. It's just a hard audio edit, so there's a chance that we'll just drop that whole thing altogether. But it's there, right?
I was just in such a hurry to grow up.
Me about this yesterday.
Bob lived in a flat. I was quite motivated to be.
Okay. I think
About this yesterday.
Bob lived in.
I think we're pretty good. Out of the way, vocal synth. Oh man, look how many vocal synths I've opened. I don't think I got to use any of them on here.
Motivated to be independent, but it was quite a rough time, quite a tough time.
Cool.
About this yesterday. We cannot.
So that's that bit that we bothered just fixing then, that we didn't
About
need
this
to.
yesterday. We cannot have true peace with the absence of justice. So if we're looking for a peaceful world and a peaceful society.
An activist.
So we're just going to get all of her dialogue, because I'd say that there's more bangles. Where there are some bangles, there are more bangles. Alrighty. Reveal yourself.
I was just in such a hurry to grow up. I was just in such a hurry.
There's a little mouthy thing happening there.
I was just in such a.
Another great tool for generating creature sounds, declick, with output clicks only. Really, really, really cool. Makes lots of alien stuff. Also putting marbles in a fry pan also gives you a whole bunch of stuff, although you will lose some marbles. In the real sense, not in like a crazy sense.
I was just in such a hurry to grow up.
Me about this yesterday.
Oh, that thing. Oops. See, that's a good example of why people wouldn't normally do that. But spectral.
Me about this yesterday. We cannot have true peace with the absence of justice. So if we're looking for a peaceful world and a peaceful society and peace for
There's a little... Oh, no.
true peace with the absence of justice.
I know. Too much. It's just instant process. Righty. What are you working on at the moment? You're still there? I don't really know. I don't have Twitch open, so I assume I've got thousands and thousands of people watching.
A peaceful world and a peaceful
Okay,
society
you guys, I'm
and
fine.
peace for animals. We cannot have true peace without justice there. So
Plus, it's two follows today. I mean, I've just got to calm right down. I want my celebrity status to get to my head.
so
I do identify as an activist, but I'm starting to reflect on that quite a bit. And rather than just calling...
Dog's just sitting behind me.
And rather than just...
Oh, hate when stuff is right over the gap like that.
Rather than just calling myself an animal rights activist, I feel that I'm a social justice activist. My priority is animal rights, but I really want to start focusing on other social justice issues as well, because I feel that
Someone's
all
told her to
systems
stop
of oppression
waving
are
her
the
hands around.
same.
Related to a delineation of
I was just in...
All right, well, that was nice. I like when we didn't have to
about this
redo all the work.
related to a delineation of power. Now, we've got different jurisdictions at the government level.
Now, I think that
Related to
yeah, it's sort of a music moment. So I'm
related to a delineation of power.
not super
Now,
important to
we've
get
got
this stuff
different
really clean. Again, I like to kind of get it clean enough that you sort of believe that if there wasn't music there, it would work. But
My outreach hasn't been the most effective of late. I feel quite triggered in those circumstances. I haven't been doing a lot of public actions lately. I've done a few...
Bangles are back. Bangles are back. You can actually see them. See all that stuff up there. But I don't want to just remove the whole line because, I don't know. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Don't touch stuff. Doesn't need to be touched. So good words to live by. Especially if you're... Oh, I'll stay away from that.
things like...
Rightio. Here we go. Doop. See, I don't know why that's not pasting over it entirely though. It's sort of mixing into it. Okay, because I can just do that, but...
cues and things like that. And
I don't know if that's particularly visible. This, let's check.
my outreach hasn't been the most effective of late. I feel quite triggered in those circumstances. I haven't been doing a lot of public actions lately. I've done a few rescues and things like that. And
Yeah, so it is on camera. So we'll probably pull it down a little bit. Yeah, maybe.
and a lot of those left me quite angry, pretty pissed off.
I find a lot of this, a lot of my channel just seems to be cool things you can do with Izotope RX. That's alright. Hopefully, still useful. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Get carried away. The problem with having gotta get one of those MIDI controllers that I can map all these shortcuts to.
Off.
I do have a... Oh, that's another one. See, that one's tricky, because what do you do there? Do you... I think you just zoom all the way in and try and pull it back. You don't have to change the world. When is the Udemy course for creating contact instruments coming out? Man, I did it. I have it. It's here. The issue was that I kind of don't think that contact is going to be around that much longer. I didn't want to have an antiquated course that's up there. So I don't know. I can't decide whether it's a good thing or not. I saw that Logic just updated their sampler, and it's exactly the same. It's skinned differently. It's skinned a bit more like Contact. But I just don't know how I feel about Contact at the moment, and I just don't know how much more energy I should put into it when I'm so much more interested in machine learning stuff and all this other stuff, having some big breakthroughs with a bunch of Python scripts at the moment that funnel into way cooler stuff. And I think that's just generally a little more interesting than the Udemy course was. But I don't know, man. Like, it might, I can do something about it or whatever, but yeah, I don't know. I just don't feel like I don't feel like it's totally necessary, to be honest. You got other people making videos. Dave Hilowitz and stuff does his Contact videos all the time, and you know, goes on and about that stuff. So that's cool. Like, he covers it well enough that I feel like I'd just be doing the same thing with a different delivery. And I don't know how much unique stuff I'd be bringing to that space.
Pretty pissed off after some of those, and I feel that I'm not effective. It's been a little bit boring lately. It's just been all background organisation.
I don't know, like, I probably another thing that'd be worth doing would be, well, that's not going to work. Probably can't make multi-selections with that. Yeah, another thing worth doing would probably be building some stuff on the stream, maybe, if people are interested in that kind of thing. I don't really know what this should be about. At the moment, it's sort of, I'm just sort of working and doing stuff, but I can do audio programming stuff on here. I can do sound design stuff on here, contact stuff on here, creative stuff on here, film projects, composing. I don't really know what to put.
And also just been reflecting a lot
so
on
sort of a bit weird. Like most people at the moment, everyone's you know, trying a bunch of different stuff. I feel like I'm always trying different stuff, but composing would get huge traction. At the same time,
where I can be the most effective.
I'm not a great composer, so
I can be the most
I'm a better sound designer than I am a composer. And although I got Tamara yelling in the other, composing music for an indie game, yeah, composing music for an indie game, that kind of thing would probably get some traction. Jump in, show off some libraries, talk about some theory stuff. That's true. That's probably one that I could play with. The issue I have with it is then do you have to only do...
Is a great composer.
There you go. Do you have to only do one thing to get an audience or whatever? I don't know if an audience is really that important to me as much as it is just hanging out with people.
Doing a lot of research.
Talking about this stuff. Regular Bill. Tamara Regular Bill seems to know Tamara. I don't know. Hi, Regular Bill. Great to see you. Don't know who you are, but maybe I do. Who knows? If I do know you, Regular Bill, say hi. Hey, it's Riley. Hey, mates. How's things? It's either Riley Aranyos or Riley. Oh my gosh, I've forgotten your last name. I'm assuming Riley. Riley McLaren. That's it. The other one. Yeah, sorry, mate. As in like Riley and Lydia, she says. So is it Riley as in Riley and Lydia? Got to be Riley as in Riley and Lydia. Got a lot of emote games going on. Well, I don't know. He hasn't written. That's the one. Yes.
Oh, hello, Riley.
Coming in to bomb things now.
Hello.
And talking. I gotta love the delay's pretty good because then she sort of runs in, says hello, and then yeah, there you go. We've got our wave. What are you up to, Riley? How's the ad game going at the moment? Is it suffering as much as
A lot of reading, listening.
the rest of the world is? or were you sort of avoiding it a bit? I got a lot of ad stuff happening in San Fran at the moment that seems to be finally opening back up again.
A lot of reading, listening to podcasts, reaching out to other organisations as well, looking at
Chunk suffering, but it's getting a bit better. Yeah.
um,
I'm hoping it'll bounce back for you soon, because it seemed like you guys were pretty much
as well.
taking off. Yeah, with Chunk. I'm sure it'll come back. It's good to have some time in improving skills. Yes. What are you working on? Are you you know, animating a lot, or yeah, what's the deal? What are you working on primarily? Oh, actually, Tassie. So, regular Bill, who's commenting there, is one of the people. We would have worked on the little animation. You would have seen the little animation that we did some Foley for. At Ari, the Rusty Hook. That was regular Bill over here.
Collaborate.
Yeah, and Tamara did the music for that one. And the sound. I was one of the voices and did some mixing, yep. Trying to get into character animation again. Cool. Would have no idea how difficult that is. I'm working on a video game at the moment, but it's all cars, so there's like no animation. Yes. Teaching at Deakin. Handy for the dollars. Yes. I feel like everyone that's teaching a couple days a week is just like really thanking their lucky stars at the moment, because it's yeah, it's very, very lucky. What am I doing for this project at the moment? I'm just doing basically a dialogue mix and a pass to make sure it's all leveled and that it sounds good. We're just removing noises, cutting out bits and bobs, going through, making sure that it's going to sound good and the dialogue sounds great. And
basically, since the 1st of January last year.
in here, it's all very rough. It's a pretty quick turnaround, this doco. So, hour-long documentary, doing it in like, yeah. Well, I mean, originally I was supposed to be doing it in like 3 days, but I've had a bit more time with it.
Basically, since the 1st of January last year, there has been a death on track or a track-related death.
So it's good to just sort of jump in and, yeah, have a bit of time to fiddling it. Yeah, the every time I show people Izotope RX, it's pretty mind blowing. Essentially, it's just viewing sound as a picture, and then if you view sound as a picture, you can kind of you can use all your regular Photoshop tools on it, and then that creates more sound when you view it back again. So it's always one of those real messianic sort of effects where you get it. It sounds insane. Like if I find something.
Since the 1st of January last.
Close the door. We'll leave
since
that in.
the 1st of January last year, there has been a death on track or a track-related death every 3 or so days. That is a lot of horses.
Well, the crazy thing is, like, that's how it sounded before. Well, sorry, this is how it sounded before.
Death on track-related.
There's a lot of background noise, and it's just a lot lower. You're able to bring things up a lot higher because you can just, yeah, viewing them in that form means that you can really, really dive in and get like a very, very, very particular sound, or you know, cross out birds, essentially, just get rid of them, you know. Yeah, sorry if I hadn't explained that. Androsimos, have you seen, or you've seen probably a bit of Izotope stuff on Benny's channel, but confirmed witchcraft. Yeah, absolutely, man. So the crazy thing, let me see if I have this. I'll show you one of the things I'm working on. So here's a little bit of Python for you. Here's a little script I'm working on that you can steal if you feel like stealing a Python script for some reason. And this is part of a program I'm working on, refactoring some stuff, and essentially if I find I need an audio file, but if we Python, No, this is just the start of the script, so it's not that crazy. What's it called? OneStrip.py. We have a... Oh, I don't actually have a... Right, I forgot to change the... I need an audio file called one. It used to be on there. Let's put that in here. And let's rename that as one.wav. Alright, let's try that again. See if it works. Right, so that spits out this. Spits out the... Oh no, I stuffed it. Oh. Let me show you one more time. Sorry about that. CD desktop. ls. Python OneStrip. Oh my gosh. Try that one more time. So this is a little thing I'm working on. It has a lot of those Photoshop stuff that I was telling you about a bit before. So what this does is takes the spectrogram, spits out, converts it, spits it out into a spectrogram, but actually is reducing a lot of the detail as well, which is really, really cool. So this spits out the sound, but also reduces a lot of the detail. So when I look for pitch... no, thank you. So when I look at this, I can see a lot more of the detail really, really easily. I don't get so much noise. It just reduces a lot of content based on essentially the same way that like television denoising works, or any denoising works, is like viewing this as a matrices and then using this really, really fancy word. It's like reverse linear matricey. Damn, I can't remember what it is, but it's a particular type of thing that will take values next to it and compare them and shred data and do that sort of thing. And they use this stuff for like facial recognition and all that. So I'm just trying to do this for sound, which is a pretty cool thing. And it also spits out. Well, actually, this one doesn't export. Doesn't export the thing as a PNG, but I've also got it so that it then exports it as a PNG, so I can essentially load in like 1,000 files and have it spit out spectrograms of everything, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I pretty much do. I feel like a doctor looking at some of these things, especially when you look at some sounds and you're trying to work out what's wrong with it, how to fix it, how you can kind of go about it. It's really, really, there is this sort of scientific approach to it.
There are so many
that's
goals
pretty powerful.
I have when it comes to activism. And of course, the primary goal is the end of
Especially just
oppression.
trying different stuff. Like, check this out. I'll show you this other thing. I'm working on a lot of vehicles at the moment, and one of the vehicles, I got this little folder. I'm going to do a blog post at some point. One of these little vehicles. So this was like all the little bumps. So I took out all the bumps. This is some pitch stuff. So trying to take a linear ramp, so a car that's just speeding up and then sort of leveling it all out. You get loops. And then this thing, which is really, really kooky. And this is essentially all the high frequency response doing some really, really super bizarre things when the car accelerates. So, man, there's some stuff you see in audio that you'd never hear. It's really, really insane. Super cool to be able to do this now.
The creation of a just and fair
The
society.
tool's a couple of years old. Like, it's not brand new or anything. It's been around since
each
like
other as humans,
probably
as
like
equals,
2010,
where we're
2008,
no
something
longer
like that.
screwing the environment over for greed and profit. You know, that would be the primary goal. Testing. The following list is a list of horses killed on track from the 1st of January 20...
Now, I'm going to leave that distortion in there just because it sort of serves the purpose of what we're trying to do.
Track-related incidents.
You know, it's just speaking through a megaphone.
5th of the 1st,
It's fine.
2018. Leopardbrenner. 7th of the 1st, 2018. Orient Line.
It'll probably also have a bit of distortion and a bit of reverb.
2018. Orient Line. 6 years old. Caulfield. Fell during the race. Killed.
Sorry if I lost everyone for that that Python demonstration. That probably wasn't super handy for everyone to know, but I find it interesting. That means I'm going to talk about it. All right.
10th of the 1st, 2018, Western Pearl, 5 years old at Ladbrokes, eased out of the race and killed. Hobart born and bred. I was born at the Calvary Hospital in Hobart.
Okay, so we're definitely out of sync here. As I said, it's going to happen a couple of times just because there were some slight movements of all this stuff. I hadn't been paying attention to a lot of it, so just going to do a quick scan. Okay, like that's drifted a smidge. Just a smidge. There we go. Cool. All right. Sweet.
When I turned about 6, my family hit the road. And we travelled around Australia for about 2.5 years. So, you know, we travelled through remote communities.
Now she lost her years. So we're gonna have to do something pretty janky here. Rather than dive into the files, see if we can get away with it.
Years. So, you know, we travelled.
You know, look, it's not perfect, but it'll be fine.
So, you know, we travelled through remote communities.
Oh. Okay, so there's some more drift here. Where does the drift stop? Bit more of a pause somewhere. Oh my gosh. Okay. Cool. So it seems to stop somewhere. You have to sync this one a couple of different spots. I was aware that this was going to happen, so it's not like it hasn't caught me by surprise or anything like that. Don't want any of that.
Years. So, you know,
I hate when someone starts that line with so. What are they doing there?
So, you know.
Cool.
So, you know,
you could just have so.
So, you know, we travel.
Or just not even that. Just.
You know, we travelled through. You know, we travelled.
I just started there. Just get rid of so you know we just.
We travelled through remote communities, places like Tennant Creek. I went to school, you know, with a lot of First Nations people. We saw a lot of the outback.
Also, like I want to.
A lot of
If we can get rid of because you don't really want her to be saying like a lot of I don't know what to call them, you know.
You know, with a lot of First Nations.
But if might not.
With a lot of First Nations people, we saw a lot of that.
Drop that as well.
You know, with a lot of.
Might even be able to get away with.
We travelled through remote communities, places like Tennant Creek. I went to school, you know, with a lot of. We travelled through remote communities.
Oops.
Creek. I went to school, you know, with a lot of First Nations people.
Yeah, that way it works. It's over the cut. It's over this bit, so nobody's gonna really know or crucify us about it.
Creek. I went to school, you know, with a lot of First Nations people. We saw a lot of the outback mining communities and very rural communities as well. So I was exposed to a lot of different people and ideas and cultures and ways of life. We came back home to Hobart and basically lived in Hobart until.
Because it's a documentary, we really don't need much room tone or anything here.
Soon-to-be husband Anthony. We had a couple of kids together. We've got 3 children, and we moved out to Southern Midlands of Tasmania to build a house, and no white picket fence or anything like that. It's just, you know, very, very simple out here. So yeah. Not 1, but 2. I've got 2 of the buggers. Yeah.
Right, so there's a weird little.
Yep.
Okay, so this is a hard part because it's all on. I only have the phone dialogue.
How's it going?
You know what's silly? I think it would actually be better if we didn't hear him.
How's it going? Oh, sweet. We're just wandering up right now. So, yep, so just give us 2 seconds and we will be there. Wait, see you shortly. I've been doing this for 5 or 6 years in varying forms. So I identify as an animal liberationist. I'm an animal rights activist in essence.
Don't worry about the sync too much. That's just picture dropping out. All we care about is syncing with the waveform there.
Essence.
Okay.
How are we going? How are we?
Good, good. We've got a lot of people down there sort of gathering. I'm not entirely sure what the game plan is yet, but...
All right. Well, I might if
Thanks,
you
man.
don't-
Thanks for dropping in, Riley. Really appreciate it, mate. Good luck with the animation. Shoot it through when you get a chance. I'd love to chat about it and share it out and everything. So, yeah, thanks for dropping in, man. It means a lot.
All right. Well, I might if you don't mind, I might just conduct a really quick interview with you first.
Yeah,
That way,
sure.
If I have to sleep off, I've already.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
If I have to sleep off. With you first.
Yeah,
That way,
sure.
If I have to sleep off, I've already.
Sure thing.
Spoken to you. All right. Where the fuck is my? Okay, so if I could just get your full name and title, please.
Christy Alger, ALGER, spokesperson, Animal Liberation Tasmania.
Everyone's got an opinion these days, you know. That's the way it is. So they can do what they want. The horses are still going to run today, unfortunately. It's the way the world goes.
Well, everyone's got an opinion, so at the end of the day, they've come out to stand for what they believe in, so be it, I guess.
Everyone's allowed their say.
I don't know much about horses.
I think that some of the dialogue's a bit rough, but it sounds fine with the way. Like, I've already done a pass on this, so I'm not just like playing it through, being like, yeah, it's all good.
Be it, I guess.
Everyone's allowed their say.
I don't know much about horses, but no, I think it's a good activity. Gives another activity for people in Hobart to go to.
I used to work in the industry, so I know exactly what goes on, and it's none of that shit.
I feel like that's a little weird to say, but let's try and get rid of this music that's in the background here. Don't know that this is going to work.
I guess.
Everyone's allowed their say.
I don't know much about horses, but no, I think it's a good activity. Gives another activity for people in Hobart to go to.
Yep. So music rebalance, normally you use this tool to sort of suck out background, not music from the background usually, but like leads, vocals from a backing track. In this instance, we're going to use it to suck out the backing track altogether, just because it's a pretty simple tune in the background. It's not harmonically complex or anything.
I don't know much about horses, but no, I think it's a good activity. Gives another activity for people in Hobart to go to.
None of that shit.
Like I said, everyone's got an opinion, so...
They're going to yell all day, and then at the end of the day, they'll go home and go to bed. They might think about it, but at the same time, this year, next year, when I come this time next year, you'll probably be here, they'll still be here, this will still get run.
But it's not the industry's fault. Like, yes, there's a lot of money to be made in this industry.
Oh, dicey justification there. Okay, so this is another really tricky one because it's not really they got very far from her, so we're not going to get that sounding awesome. We're just going to get that to a point where it's pretty intelligible, and we'll move on from there.
It's not the industry's fault. Like,
so the problem with that is it's just sounding way too weird. So we're just going to suck down -6. And when we do that, what happens is, well, we're rebalancing in much more of the conventional sense rather than applying a whole bunch of different filters and stuff over the
Here,
top.
they'll still be here. This will still get run.
but it's not the industry's fault. Like, yes, there's a lot of money to be made in this.
I kind of can't suck out some of the background noise here, because if I suck out in terms of dialogue, if I actually if I do voice denoise and we remove this, I think the people in the background that are shouting are going to get removed too.
It's not the industry's fault. Like, yes, there's a lot of money to be made in this industry, but at the end of the day,
I don't really know that we can do much here. Run a couple of processes. We're going to go with the dialogue isolate as well. Fingers crossed.
it's not the industry's fault. Like, yes, there's a lot of money to be made in this industry, but at the end of the day, everybody does it because they love the animals.
Okay, so we're going to go with that. It's probably a little overcooked, but when we layer in a little bit of the background noise, I think
This will still get run.
That'll cut through
It's not
really well.
the industry's fault. Like, yes, there's a lot of money to be made in this industry.
I know you can hear the background
But
ducking about a
at
bit,
the end of
but
I don't know, I don't really have an opinion, but apart from racing, I like horses too. So, of course, you want them to be in the safe hands, but if they're not in the safe hands, they won't be here.
It's about 110 horses I've documented dying on track or in track-related deaths, and they're dying horrific deaths, shattered bones. Horses should not be doing.
In the beginning, my core motivations were kind of superficial. It was for the animal. Kind of superficial.
Little distortion on that. The distortion's a tricky one because, well, it's distortion. It's baked in already, so not a heap we can probably do there, but
Kind of superficial. Kind of superficial. It was for the animals. I decided to become an activist and be engaged for the promotion of animal rights. As I've progressed through my journey of activism, it's become
right, so we're dropped out again here.
kind of superficial. It was for the animal.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
110 horses I've documented dying on track or in track-related deaths, and they're dying horrific deaths, shattered bones. We're talking collapses, cardiac arrest. Clearly, this is something that horses should not be doing.
In the beginning, my core motivations were kind of superficial. It was for the
110 horses I've
kind of superficial. It was
Oh, so we're actually in the right spot.
kind of superficial. It was for the animal.
Okay, but I don't... So is it a different take?
Kind of superficial. It was for the animals. Kind of superficial. It was for the animals. I
don't really...
For the animals. I decided to become an activist and be engaged for the promotion of animal rights, for the animals. I decided to become an activist. As I've progressed through my journey of activism, it's become so much more
Funny when
multifaceted.
you see the... Look at the difference between the two waveforms. You can clearly see where there's speaking happening and the rest of it's just that noisy.
Become so much more multifaceted. It's not just this singular notion of for the animals. It's this holistic dedication to anti-oppression.
I think it should end there and not have that. Okay, I believe we got music. Cool, we'll add that back in.
Earlier this morning, I visited the Governor-General here in Canberra and he accepted my advice.
Yep, that's all fine.
Hard-working candidates.
This is about as good as it gets. People smiling at you, taking your vouchers, taking your...
Seem to be having some computer issues. I'd say it's just the way that the memory kind of works in tools is that it'll page out parts of the memory, so it'll kind of get faster when we're in the same section, but because we're moving through sections really quickly, it's sort of jumping a lot of it into RAM. If I grab the activity monitor up, we'll probably see it starting to get a bit hammered. Plus OBS hammers everything because it's trying to record at the same time, so probably need to work out a better rig to record and stream and run all this stuff at the same time. It's pretty intense, really.
So I ran for the Animal Justice Party in the state election and then again in the federal election.
So the Animal Justice Party is a political party for animals. Essentially, it started when a few people within the animal rights organisations realised that there was nobody really in Parliament that was standing up and fighting for legislative protection for animals. Not even the Greens were really doing animals.
Okay. Little pop happening here somewhere. Trying to get a lot of these little pops out. Some of them, I'd say it's probably that. You can kind of see it straight away. I don't know why Izotope boosts it up so much. We're looking for something. Okay. That's a bit brutal to find, but that's the way we need to find it. Or you just jump back to the visual side and you find it in about 2 seconds. Okay, now this one's a weird one because I don't know if we interpolate. Nothing really. Oh, there it is. See that? Tiny, tiny, tiny. Look at that. Woo! Sorry about that. I got excited. I did. That's what it's supposed to look like. That's when the dentist tells you to say ah. I think you'd probably in trouble. You'd probably bite the dentist if you did that. Funny. I feel like I can still hear that. Yeah, I can. But where is it? This is where we do the doctor, but we also do the dentist and we do the detective. Looking for where these problems are at. This one's sort of a tricky one. Shows you that occasionally you just can't find things that you really feel like you should be able to find. It's where I don't know if there's a scrub function in Izotope or not. I feel like it'd be quite handy if there was a scrub function. I don't know where it would be. Especially because they put this right next to the
not even
Sorry, it's a mystery. I had no idea where this thing is. Alright. Next best thing. Just gonna... she says it right at the start. What a bummer. I don't know how to fix it. I can still hear it. Because she has her mouth open, do you think we can sell that she's going,
Not even the greens, not even the greens were really doing what we felt was necessary to protect animals within our legal system. So a group of activists actually put together the Animal Justice Party, and we started winning seats in Parliament. We've now got 3 members of Parliament, 2 here in New South Wales and 1 in Victoria.
I'm trying to take that fight for animals' rights into the Victorian
Quite lucky, really, because I think for some syllables that might have really screwed us up, but because we have that without the little pop, I think it's just going to be more consistent. I hate having those little pops. Usually you can just find them, you see something in the waveform and you interpolate, but that one was weird because it wasn't showing up in waveform or the other version once we fixed it. So
we've now got 3 members of Parliament.
What are you going to do?
2 here in New South Wales and 1 in Victoria.
I'm trying to take that fight for animals' rights into the Victorian Parliament. Industries didn't.
Okay, so here's one where maybe needs de-reverb. Maybe. I don't know if we're sort of overkilling it. Apparently we've got stuff already. Here we go. So usually they show on the waveform. Usually they're just a jagged thing. It's that pop comes from the speaker moving from one place to another place with no time in between. So usually you'll see the waveform will kind of go up and down and look like a nice little curvy thing, and it might go lots of different directions, but as long as there's no straight lines. The second there's a straight line, it means that the speaker's having to move from one position to another position in 0 milliseconds, and speakers can't time travel, so there's no way, even really good speakers can't time travel, so there's no way to make that happen. So the speaker tries its hardest and essentially moves as fast as it possibly can, overcorrects, and you just hear that little paper pop that will happen there. And usually when you see it on the waveform, like if I can manufacture it on the waveform really, really quickly, it'll look like if we just like delete this and then move this over, right? And then we load this into memory, into RX, and we look at the waveform. Crap, which bit is it?
I'm trying to
something.
New South Wales and 1 in Victoria.
I'm trying.
Right, so I probably didn't pick a big enough spot, did I? I'll pick a spot where they're actually talking. That'll probably help a lot. So if I grab, like, if you go in here and we just like chopped it, moved it back, and did this. See, even Pro Tools is trying to be clever about it. It's trying to give us a bit of a help, but we just put it, yeah, see, even there it sort of will, but we'll see if it will work if we do this and we send it across.
I'm trying.
There's the pop. You can hear the pop now, and it's a matter of finding that freaking pop again, which will be, I'd say it's that there. See how it can't really move in that direction that way, or it's not going to move in that direction that way, and then it even fishtails as it sort of the speed of it tries to recalibrate and slow back down again. So you'll see that if I, all right, you'll hear that pop straight away. So if we wanted to fix that pop, we would find that spot again think it was here, and we would highlight it. And then if you open up interpolate and interpolate it, you see that's what it should sort of look like. Sometimes you have to interpolate it a couple of times just to get it to actually sort of understand what's supposed to be happening.
I'm trying to take that.
And then that pop is gone. So when you're looking at waveforms, there is a sort of hidden language to them sometimes where they should move in natural ways. The times that you see them moving in unnatural waves is synthesis, essentially. So when we do synthesis, wavetable synthesis, crazy kooky musical synthesis, and trying to make stuff sound really cool, we'll often find little moments where we take like a waveform and we, use that as an instrument. So if we, maybe we did that, but then we played it up and down octaves and moved around and played chords with that, and you essentially get synthesis. And you can do that by just highlighting parts and right, you can do all that sort of stuff. And even Reaper, again, apparently you can even record what you're doing in Reaper, so you could record that. I would have to sort of soundflower out of Pro Tools and then record it back in and do all this sort of stuff. But essentially that's how we would fix a pop, or how we fix pops, should we find any pops. So what we were trying to do, before I got distracted, actually not distracted, that was a really good tip. I really like helping that out. If you got more questions, Androsimos, hit me with them, because I don't know how often. I'm definitely not going to stream as often as Benny does. So if I've got anything to help you, or anything that I can say that'll help you out, I don't know if I'll do a really long one today or anything either. But if I've got anything that can help you out, that's part of why I'm doing this. Big part of why I'm doing this.
I'm trying to take that fight for animals' rights.
Yeah, so we really, really, really want to get rid of that reverb.
I'm trying to take that fight for animals' rights into the Victorian Parliament. I'm trying to take that.
Better?
I'm trying to take that fight.
I think it sounds less cheap.
I'm trying to take that fight for animals' rights into the Victorian Parliament.
I kind of hate how those rooms, like you can see the room that they're in at the moment, these rooms, just hard surfaces everywhere, they sound really cheap. And they can make most dialogue in them sound really cheap.
I'm trying to take that fight for animals' rights into the Victorian Parliament.
Industries did not kindly decide to open their doors and show their processes to the public.
Why do you think people feel the need to shout in Parliament when they don't shout when they're talking?
I'm trying to take that fight for animals' rights into the Victorian Parliament.
Why wouldn't that guy just talk with this? Why does he have to get in and freaking
Industries did not kindly
put on his big boy pants and shout at people? Anyway.
Industries did not kindly decide to open their doors and show their processes to the public.
So that one, again, there's a little bump in here.
Not kindly decide to open their doors.
There. I wasn't going to fix it, but I think I am going to fix it, because if we can fix it, we'll see how we go first. I'd say it's that.
Open their door.
Right. And this is where, let's try our new technique. Highlight this, copy, and paste it over there. I don't know if this is the best way to do it. There is no best way to do this stuff. People kind of think that there's like some magical thing that I'm going to do that's different. Essentially just try lots and lots and lots of different approaches and find different ways to do this stuff. Sometimes this might be one for attenuation. It might be one for a different tool. It's not necessarily all of this right way. I'm just doing one way that, kind of seems to be the way around it. Can be deceptive just doing this stuff visually. I've gotten kind of good at it, but
kindly decide to open their doors and show.
There you go. She's gone skis.
Decide to open their doors and show their processes to the public.
I really love noise reduction. It's such a
They
fun
became
game.
public knowledge only because activists exposed them.
I'm a firm believer that getting change for animals works off several different levels, but they all must work together. It needs activism, it needs advocacy, it needs education, but at the end of the day, it still needs political change, because 100,000 people can stand on the steps of Parliament demanding that the government change a policy. That the government change.
There you go. So there's a little pop. Let's see if we're going to see this one as well as we saw the other ones.
Steps of Parliament demanding that the government change a policy to be more compassionate.
I don't know why it turned up so much. -12 output gain, and yet super loud. Wonder what that's about. And I have noticed that it does turn it up so that you can hear things, but in this instance, it's really not helping us.
Steps of Parliament demanding that the government change a policy.
Where was it?
That the government change a policy. Steps of Parliament demanding that the government change.
There's a little meh in the middle of that.
The government.
How you convert people to the government. Alrighty. This is going to be a tricky one, I think. Right. This is the downside of working with waveform. When you work with waveforms, it's all just squiggles. That can be really hard because you're looking for a pattern. That could be it, but I don't. Whoops. Gotta stop doing that. I keep forgetting that we're zoomed in a lot at this point. So zooming in will naturally make those waveforms a lot shorter. I hate how that. Oh, it's in here somewhere. Maybe it's that. Hard to say. Still hearing it. So I would say it's in here. Maybe let's look at that. You also don't want to cause interpolation issues, which you can do yourself by trying to make them the same and then ending up giving yourself more work. Oh, there it is. Boop. See if we can fix that. See if that helps. If not, that'll probably be enough.
That the government change a policy.
Ah, see, we've actually made that a lot worse.
That the government change a policy.
And that's why you got to keep going back and forward. It's a bummer,
Steps
but
of Parliament demanding that the government change a.
oh dear. The issue with this one is, again, there's just no. I don't really know how that even happens. I guess it could be that.
The government change.
This is one where we may not be able to fix it. There's just not really enough information. And the problem is that we just heard what interpolate did. Interpolate will sometimes cause errors. Yeah. Tricky.
Government change.
The thing. It's what we're in this business looking for. Can't really visually see, like, unless it's one of those peaks. Usually they're really, really obvious, but I don't know where this thing is. Maybe we'll exaggerate it. See if we can find it that way. You know, I don't really think it's that. I don't really have too much time for this stuff. Fix what we can.
That the government change.
Nah, so we're making it worse.
That the government change a policy. That the government change a.
Oh well.
On the steps of Parliament, demanding that the government change a policy to be more compassionate.
Ah, jeez.
Be more.
Really? Okay.
On the steps of Parliament, demanding that the government change a.
Okay. You know, this is where we're going to look at another tool. Let's look at declick. Pull open declick. Oops. Always turn off output clicks only.
Steps of Parliament demanding that the government change a policy to be more compassionate, be more kind.
Okay. And then limiter.
Steps of Parliament demanding that the government change a policy to be more compassionate.
And there we go.
Be more kind. But they can.
So that was right at the top of that waveform, was how we fixed that.
That the government change a policy to be more compassionate, be more kind. But they can just ignore them.
So there you go. All about trying a couple of different solutions. We looked at it with the waveform, we looked at it through the spectrograph, we looked at interpolating some points, we looked at declicking the dialogue, which didn't fix it, and then we declipped the dialogue and it did fix it. And we're actually not even looking at that spot. We found a different spot. So
what they can't ignore is votes.
Never know.
Rod Barton from Transport Matters. Clifford Hayes.
Oh man. So clippy. The deal, bro. I'm gonna do exactly the same thing as we did before. Declick, declip. And that's going to be beautiful.
Rod Barton from Transport Matters. Clifford Hayes, Sustainable Australia. Catherine Cumming, who is an independent, or was with the Hinch Party. The two Hinch people are right up there behind you. They have that whole bench to themselves because it was originally allocated to them for 3 people. Now Catherine sits down here. Rod Barton.
Okay.
So, and I will stand and I will say thank you, President. Today I rise to with a question without notice, and my question is for the Environment Minister, Lily D'Ambrosio.
Okay, really, really weird thing happening at the end there. You can see again, this is my computer being upset just at this last couple of steps of the previous section. There's no way to make it load particular section. You could look at doing this in different reels, but it's honestly it's not going to be much sound design at all, if there's any sound design. So
today I rise to with a question without notice, and my question is for the Environment Minister, Lily D'Ambrosio.
Don't know what happening at the end there.
I have pleaded that parliamentarians refrain from divisive and hateful speech towards members of our community simply for having different beliefs. But regardless, they continue to find scapegoats and threats in order...
There's nobody in the back of the friggin' place. There's just 4 chairs right behind him and nobody there. Not that he needs to. Anyway. Not up to me. I'm going to do a couple more, I'll do 5 more minutes and then I'll finish up. It's just 2 hours long. I don't want people to probably won't watch.
But regardless, they continue to find
more stuff. So actually, for this one, I think mouth declick probably would have been a better choice. Let's just turn the sensitivity way down.
Simply for having different beliefs. But regardless, they continue to find scapegoats and threats in order to foster fear.
Cool. Okay, so seems to all be out. Cool. Bit of drift happening there. Cool, so we'll just
How's that look?
okay, so we're just gonna make sure that we get this all in sync. That it can be quite hard because the original has so much noise. That's okay. Be alright.
How's that look? A good shot.
We should probably fix this stuff up as well.
A good shot.
Really just that little hit. This one we'll try something else. No, we won't. No, we won't. Don't be silly. Go back. Go back to the way that works, eh? That. Sweet. Gone.
One of the polling booths within my region had been closed, Benangle, and it's kind of like a semi-rural hobby farm area. There are some like sort of 600-acre odd properties.
Okay, so as beautiful as those birds are, they aren't going to be in the film. Can't get the rights. So again, grab a big old chunk, bigger chunk as you can get. You can even do this, and then if you learn that, it will then all be available to you. So copy that, go here, whoop, get rid of those birds. I'd say that's bird 2. Yep.
And it's kind of like a semi-rural. And it's kind of like.
Is that? Nope. Yeah.
within my region had been closed, Benengal, and it's kind of like a semi-rural hobby farm area. Hobby farm.
Gone. I don't know if that's better now.
Kind of like a semi-rural hobby farm area. There.
I think we're going to need to turn this up because, yeah, so we see how we're missing some stuff too. So always make sure you go in and you look at it at a couple of different resolutions because you'll often find them.
And it's kind of like a semi-rural hobby farm area. There are.
Yes, that's a hard one. Okay, so probably don't need any of that at all.
There are.
Nah, see how when we do that, we're taking out his. You can't go fast. You got to go slow.
There are some like sort of 600 acre odd properties out there. Very few nowadays. Most of them are very few nowadays.
Yes, I mean, you're not going to. If it was on a different syllable, we might have had a shot.
Very few nowadays. Most of them are sort of like, you five, like,
Okay.
Your 5 to 20 acre hobby farm.
Again, he is outside, so it's okay. We don't have to fix everything. He is outside, so it's fine.
20 acre hobby farms. Farms.
That'll be that, I'm assuming. I don't know if this is the best approach here, but
hobby farms. This guy must have lived there a while. Live there.
I don't know if it's that. Sometimes if we just take out, this is awesome. Oh, thanks, man. Thanks for letting me know. What are you enjoying about it? Let me know and I'll do more of that.
I must live there. Live there.
So I really do appreciate it. I hope you're learning something and I'm glad you're having fun. About to finish up, but you've just given me some more, give me a bit more hope.
Must live there a while. Must live there.
Sometimes for this stuff, we don't actually have to remove everything. As I said, you can just kind of get in there and remove some of the stronger fundamentals. And that will often help you. Don't want to butcher it too much.
This guy must live there a while. This guy must live there a while.
Still there, I know, but unless we got him saying "oh" again. No dice. That's okay. Oh man, you should see some of the stuff you can do with audio. Some of this stuff. This is cool stuff. Yeah, look, if I jump on and I stream a bit more, there's a whole bunch of really amazing stuff you can do nowadays. It's just amazing. Like the tools that we have, it's all become an art form instead of being a purely technical exercise, and it's just really, really cool. I think you guys are streaming your work. It's both informative, just giving you something to look at as well. Yeah, look, it's really fun. Benny and I, and all the other people that should be streaming, I'm sure, but look, Benny's really leading the way here, and you know, any chance we get to jump on, I got to try and once I'm finished this book, I got to try and do it a bit more often. I'll be able to jump on, you know, once or twice a week, maybe a bit more, maybe in the morning. So we got some Americans that can jump in as well. I think that would be a really, really great way to approach this stuff and get more feedback. Because I mean, I love watching people work and seeing what people do, and I haven't really had a lot of people that have shown me how to do any of this stuff. All of this stuff is me working it out along the way. I studied as a composer, so I'm not sound person to begin with. All this stuff is just developed because I just keep falling in love with new tools, and
This guy must live there a while.
new ways to do stuff, you know?
Leave.
Really want to get this bit out. Just, but it's sort of high frequency stuff. It's bled in. I don't know if removing it.
Must live there a while.
Nah, we're sort of ruining the original take.
Must live there a while.
That one we haven't looked at yet. But yeah, I like seeing people work. I'm really excited to see, especially because you just don't even know if you're doing stuff the right way, whatever the right way sort of means. And seeing more established people do this is really, really great. As I said, I'd love to see more people jumping on and just streaming.
You know, this guy must live there a while.
Whatever they work on. I got a bad habit of trying to show people stuff all the time, so it's not always. I gotta make sure I shut up occasionally, but I just like showing people cool stuff, cool ways to do things. 100%. Everything I've done teaching myself, I'm a muso too. That's how I really started to love this stuff. Man, everyone in audio comes from wanting to be a muso first. Everyone. So it's everything you kind of, you have to teach yourself. I was a teacher. For the last couple of years I've been a teacher, and I still sort of see myself as a teacher, even though I'm not teaching at the moment. And it's a lot of research. You know, something I really like about showing people this stuff is that I can...
You know, this guy must live there a while. Got that impression? Comes up, Kubra.
Yeah, I kind of think that a lot of people have to learn... They learn stuff by themselves or on their own that takes 2 seconds if you watch a pro do it.
Be fun.
And instead... we spend all this time learning to do it ourselves, and it's sort of, I don't know if it's always the best way to do things. Like, obviously teaching yourself is great, but at the same time, if you've got someone that can sort of point you in the right direction, that can be super powerful. You know,
this guy must live there a while.
I think I just did this bit. I'm not really concentrating. That's okay. I don't know if I just stuffed up that line.
This guy must live there a while. Got that. This guy must live there a while.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I just did this.
Got that impression. Comes up, Kubra, dry impression. Comes.
Anyway.
Kubra.
Trying to make sure.
Kubra.
That whatever we do, we're just always improving it. You know, sometimes, yeah, I could go through and
comes up,
pencil out all these birds and whatnot, but especially with these birds, they're just brutally like, they're really, really all over the shop, hey.
Comes up.
I think that there as well.
Comes up.
Because he's talking.
Comes up. Kubra. Dries the bone. Boots. like, "How you going, mate? Animal Justice Party?" And he stops dead in his tracks, looks back at.
Oh. So this one is a cool one. You don't have to spectral copy paste. You can also, if you notice, there's a lot of space around this part. There's all this the darkness that you can look at, and if you go spectral repair and then replace, it'll just sort of smear over it with the outside regions, and then you can do the same thing with the leftovers. You can essentially paste our ambience over the top of that, and that will
dead in his tracks, looks back at me, snarls.
Anything that's alone. Nope.
Looks back at me. Looks back at me.
Hard when they when they do stuff at the same time as other people talking. Give it a go.
Looks back at me.
What that deal is.
Looks back at me. Looks back at me. Snarls one side of his at me. Snarls.
This thing just makes noise when he's not.
Snarls.
When he's talking. Hey. Literally. It's mental how this thing only freaking makes noise when he talks.
Snarls one side of his.
It might also be that I've already done a pass here.
One side of his face up and goes, "You gotta be fucking kidding me, aren't you?" I was like, "Sorry?" He goes, "You fucking ought to have a hide on you, don't you?"
Yeah, there's a bit of language, but you'll be fine. Anything like this, you can immediately tell it's going to be birds just because it's above like 5K. It's all just stuff. I don't know what happened there. Yeah, you'll see this stuff and know immediately that that's birds, and that kind of helps you out as well because you can just paint straight over them. Oh, apparently the footy's on. Apparently the football's going back soon. Exciting. Alrighty, almost there. It's really quite a bummer because I'm working at another gig during the day that I can't stream stuff on. Oh, sorry, you haven't been able to see that. I've been using spectral repair. Show you that, but yeah, spectral repair, pretty cool. It just with the replace mode, it'll paste over stuff. Probably not super important to see all of it, but that's okay. This one's a weird one because it goes right through the middle, so I think probably attenuate is the way we've got to go about that one. A little bit different. Yeah.
I would have a hide on you, don't you? I was like, "All right."
Okay, so, and then we can see more our friends all over the place. Look at him go. Again, good thing to do, just pull your sound, pull your meters up a little bit while you do this stuff because you will see really far background. I should just turn on an instant process here. I always forget about it. I don't generally use it. I don't know why I always go through an extra step that I don't have to go through, but old habits die hard, hey. I don't know if this is, I'd say this is, but yeah, so you can just see this stuff from a mile away. Once you get good at it, it's right there. But again,
On you, don't you? I was like, "All right, mate, have a good day."
Okay, so that's just all birds.
All right, mate, have a good day. Most
Also look at multi-frequencies. So you'll see down here where, you know, sometimes what you're looking at is just incorrect, really. Sometimes it's, yeah, you're just missing the spot by a mile. And you end up reducing all this stuff and looking for stuff that's not actually on the screen. Stop saying stuff. Alrighty.
Justice Party, and he stops dead in his tracks, looks back at me, snarls one side of his face up and goes, "You gotta be fucking kidding me, aren't you?" I was like, "Sorry?" He goes, "You fucking ought to have a hide on you, don't you?" I was like, "All right, mate, have a good day."
Okay. So just top frequency stuff again. Some of this stuff.
I was like,
see, that's where you don't want to use replace because it'll smear. You get some pretty cool spectral effects. Like if you go like this and you go replace and you replace it, you get this.
"You fucking ought to have a hide on you, don't you?"
You get some really cool villain sort of stuff.
Have a hide on you, don't you? I was like, "All right, mate, have a good day." Most.
I reckon that's about right now.
Don't you? I was like, "All right, mate, have a good day." Mostly, I would say there is an overwhelming feeling of disgust from most people. But the question is, where does the disgust lie? You know, some people are disgusted enough. Others are disgusted in the industry for, you know, the ways that.
Wait a minute.
Some people are disgusted enough. Others are disgusted in the industry.
What's he supposed to be saying there? I think we've dropped a word.
People are disgusted enough. Others are disgusted.
Okay. Supposed to be saying some people are disgusted in us. It's all behind anyway. So that's a good catch. Wait for Pro Tools to catch up. Okay.
Lie, you know, lie, you know, lie, you know, lie. From most people. But the question is, where does the disgust lie? You know, some people are disgusted enough.
Yeah, okay. So again, we've got the OMF somewhere that I can pull up and play with, but it's such a small thing to fix that it's not super important.
Some people are disgusted in us. Others are disgusted in the industry for, you know, the ways they brutalize. Others are disgusted in the industry for, you know, the ways they brutalize animals. And then you get, you know, a good percentage who can see the link and are disgusted.
It's going to be awesome when I
for
get
having
this
paid for it for
music
so long.
in here.
Others are disgusted in the industry for, you know, the ways they brutalize animals. And then you get, you know, a good percentage who can see the link and are disgusted
might
with
also,
themselves for having paid for it.
Just crack open the big counter. Pop that big counter here. And not look at it in that view. In timecode. So if you haven't used timecode before, it's pretty simple. Hours, minutes, seconds, frames. It's a universal time code in terms of you'll see it through the industry all the time. And it's really, really handy because then if I paste this time code, which I will at some point, paste it on the video, send that back to them, they will have a reference that they can look at and say, okay, I didn't like this sound at this second, instead of saying like, oh, the bit where he says whatever. So you want to make sure that you're looking at.
Look, I think that
Break time scene. Disappointing. Oh no, I can't actually stop the stream. There you go. Can't click on OBS. There we go. Yes, I don't actually. I've only got this. Break time. Ah, there we go.